that's not true. I've wasted my whole life. And I don't think I have. And it's true of all of us. Everybody in here has an end. I just happen to know mine might be a little sooner than most. But I told God the other day, I said, God, we're at the end of what man can do. Man, I've had the best doctor that I could possibly find in Charlotte, and the best doctors that do. I couldn't have asked for more. I've had the best insurance. Everything was the best. And I don't think it's wrong to avail yourself of man's wisdom if it's presented to you. I think God gave me those things. But I don't know why he gave me those things, but he did. And what I told God, I said, God, we've done everything that man can do. And my oncologist told me that he thought that the wisest thing for me to do was just to go home and let nature take its course. And that meant a lot to hear that from him, because he was a man that is programmed to fight. I mean, he wants to fight this thing with everything he's got. But the only thing he had to offer me was the same things we've already tried. And so I went to God and I said, God, I don't necessarily want to die right now and leave my wife and leave my kids and not see my granddaughter be born. She's due in a couple of months. I kind of like to be here for that. I kind of like to be here for Laura. But if you're going to take me, I'm open to that. I know where I'm going. I'll go home and see my granddad and my dad, and I'm overjoyed about that. I'm really happy about that. But if you leave me here, I will tell your story. And I got a story to tell. That man's wisdom was tried to the nth degree. And my oncologist, I asked him, I said, how long have I got? And he said, days and weeks. I don't know what that means. Days and weeks. It wasn't months and years. So, you know, he basically signed off on it. And so you go home and you sit down and you think about days and weeks. You try to think about what you can do with the rest of your life, you know. The funny thing is like I say, I'm not worried about me. If every night when I go to bed, I think, well, if I don't wake up, then I'll see Jesus, and that'll be great. I'll graduate. I'll finish the course. And then on the other hand, I wake up in the morning and my flesh is still there. It's still operating. And I find myself trying to figure out how many weeks of sick time I've got left. And I have a ridiculous company that I work for. I mean, would you believe I've still got I can't even pronounce it. I've got 14 weeks more sick time that I could just stay at home and collect a full paycheck. I don't have to do anything. Beyond that, I got 4 more weeks of vacation. So I was looking at it the other day, and between everything that I got on my plate, I can make it to Christmas. And I find that ridiculous that they would continue to pay me that far. But what was really concerning me was, of course, was how the Lord was going to provide for her. And I knew in my heart that if I died tonight and didn't make any arrangements, that the Lord would take care of her. Because if I can trust him with me, I can trust him with her. Amen. And really the bottom line is that he's always been her provider. He just used me. And if I'm gone, there'll be other provisions made. But I just had this quiet in my flesh that I really wanted to know how God was going to do that. And it wasn't necessary for me to know that he would do that, because I know he would do that, but I kind of wanted to know at least a little piece of how he was going to accomplish taking care of her. I mean, from the fleshly standpoint, I look at my house and I've got 5 more years left to pay on it. And I wanted her to have a paid for house. And I've got a second mortgage that needs to be cleaned up. And the car is a 1994, you know, and I kind of wanted her to have a good car. And I didn't have any idea where that money was coming from. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm the world's worst financial planner when it comes to long distance stuff. And I don't have any big long plans where she's going to, you know, live as a millionaire or anything like that.
I don't want to.
No. But
I don't want to live as a millionaire.
Yeah. But anyway, we got on the phone with the people there at US Airways. And for some reason, when it was time, I had opted for the second tier and the third tier of life insurance at US Airways. And it only cost me like $10 a week. And I wasn't sure that those would be in effect, or what that meant. And we called the lady up, and she assured us that Laura will be well taken care of. That she will be able to pay off the mortgage, she'll be able to pay off the house, and she'll have a car to drive, and there'll be food to eat. So I don't even have to think about that anymore. So it's like, okay, Lord, I'm ready. If you want to take me tonight, I can go. But it's really an emotional roller coaster. I've been having times of worship up there in the bedroom, where I just take my computer and get Spotify out, and I'm back there raising my hands all by myself. It don't matter who sees. The Lord sees, and that's really all I'm looking for. I'm just looking to honor Him and worship Him. It's as pure worship as I know how to do. I'm not much of a singer, but I love music. And it's been a blessing to me to have been back there at the back, taking part the best way I knew how. And if I still had my faculties about me, I'd still like to be back there. But it's kind of hard when your brain's not working quite right. Your eyes and your hands aren't working quite right. I don't know that I could do it again, but the thing that has really blessed me is that the Lord brought Robert Shepherd along. And Robert, I taught Robert a little bit right at the beginning, but he's taken off and run. He's way, way, way beyond me now. And I was back there worshiping on Sunday, and I was so blessed with Right Hand Seated, because Right Hand Seated was over the top as far as I was concerned. And Robert was over the top. And it just blessed me to be able to just sit there and just worship and have my hands in the air, and I wasn't thinking about how it could be fixed or how it could be improved. I was just thinking only about worshiping God, and that's where I want to be. And that's a hard place for me to be as a sound man, because I think about stuff like that a lot. I'm always worrying about this detail and that detail. And there weren't any details to worry about. Everything was just over the top, And even my good friend Bob Poole said it was over the top, which balances me out. Anyway, that's about all I got to say. If the Lord wants to take me, I'm ready to go. If the Lord wants to keep me here, I'm ready to tell the story. And if I'm gone, somebody else is going to have to tell the story.
Well, Paul, I can say that just as this room tonight, that we join with you in your declaration of steadfast hope in Christ. I mean, that's what I've heard, just word after word as you have spoken. Those of you that don't know, Paul has just completely imprinted himself on the DNA of our worship ministry. What you see every week is largely due to the service of this man and helping to formulate not only the way that it sounds, but we have core values that we have embraced as a team. Core values like that we value the soul of our volunteer more than their gift, And Paul has been just on the leading edge of all of that for the entire life of this church. And so even as we enter into our time of prayer tonight, Paul, I just want to say to you, man, we join with you. You are literally leading the way you've had this news that every human should rightfully fear, and yet in the face of that news, you have boldly proclaimed where your hope and where your faith is, and it just feels unshaken, and God is using that, even in this room right now, to reestablish our confidence in His greatness and His ability to be greater than the worst news